This is my go-to tech stack for quickly deploying a web application. We'll start by initializing a Next.js app using AppRouter, and we'll say no to Turbo Repo because it won't work well with Prisma. For the UI, I like to configure ShadCN and add all of the components so that I can use them later. We also need a database, so I like to use Coolify to spin up a Postgres database. Alternatively, you can use Supabase, Neon, or anything else to spin up your own Postgres database and use that. Once you have a database URL, we can add that to our .env file. Next, I'll disable some ESLint rules that I don't like by default, and then we'll start setting up Prisma. So we install the dependencies, initialize it, and we'll also create a simple model for posts. Then we'll create a method for seeding the database. We'll now run the Prisma migration to initialize our database, and then we can add the command for seeding the database and run that so that our posts can be added to the database. We can then open up Prisma Studio and we can see that all of those posts are now on our database. We will also need to create a file for exporting a singleton for the Prisma client. This helps avoid making multiple connections to the database while hot reloading in development. We'll now make a component for rendering all of the posts, and because it's a server component, we can just import the Prisma client and query directly to get all the posts and render them. To spice things up, we'll add a basic feature for creating new posts, and to do this, I'll have a folder for my components and another one for my actions, and then ask Cursor to implement those for us. Now let's deploy this, so we can commit our changes, push to GitHub, and then open up Vercel, select the GitHub repo, copy the environment variables over and deploy it. I had a little bit of an error because of Prisma, but we can easily fix that and deploy to Vercel. Before adding more features, I like to create a .cursor file which has all of my preferences for how I want the AI to generate code. So this specifies things like my tech stack and how I like my files and folders to be structured. We can then ask Cursor to make it possible to delete posts, and just one-shots that entire feature. We can then commit and push the changes, and Vercel will automatically deploy this new website. You can check out my website for a written guide, including a GitHub repo to use this template for your next project.